In this video, I'm going to show you how to improve your horse's health through nutrition today. What's the right amount of feed to give your horse and in what frequency? What's up, horse people? My name is Michaela and welcome back to the Horse in Theory channel, a great place for you guys to find content to help you better connect with your horse, because life is better with horses. So it's really important if you guys are getting horses or if you're trying to find out more information about how to take care of your horse or want to get a horse one day. Very important horses are given correct and balanced nutritional care. Stay with me till the end of this video because I'll show you a great tool for your horse's nutrition. Horses are strict herbivores, so their diets require a lot of fiber. So if you don't already know, horses eat only plants. They only eat forage material and strict herbivores. So they have to have tons of fiber going into their diet at all times. A horse's digestive system is also designed to have the trickle effect is what it's called, which means they're designed to take in small amounts of meals all throughout the day rather than big, large meals, few times a day or once a day. Horses are equids, and in general, they consume about 2 to 2.5% of their body weight in dry feed each day. Obviously, not everywhere for everybody is going to be possible for your horse to be able to eat a lot, small amounts throughout the day. So if you can't provide that, it's very important for you to give your horse the right amount of feed in the right quantities throughout the day. So if you can only feed them a few times a day or a couple times a day, make sure you're doing it in the right quantities so your horse has enough going through their system throughout the day. So a lot of things can determine how much you want to feed your horse, like what type of horse you have. Versus a big horse and a pony. Obviously, they're not going to eat the same amounts. How much of a workload your horse has. If you're riding your horse all day, every day, doing hour-long rides or more every day, or if you just ride your horse once a week, it can all depend on how much your horse is working, how much they're burning off. How old is your horse? I know some old horses don't keep the weight on as well, and so they require more feed. But younger horses might differ. So talk to your vet and determine, the age of your horse, because that can definitely affect how much they need to eat. How much they weigh, and also what kind of climate do you live in? Do you live in a cold climate, a hot climate where it's green all year long? Determine what type of place you live in and what type of feed you need to give your horse. And in order to feed your horse correctly, you need to understand a horse's nutritional needs. If I'm going too fast for you, don't forget you can download the free guide to horses nutritional care, which I'll put a link down below in the description if you want to check that out as well. So let's divide this down into 4 points. 1, your horse should be drinking plenty of water. Horses require about 5 gallons at least a day. Obviously, it's going to differ if you have like a Clydesdale or if you have a pregnant mare, but an average horse should have around 5 gallons of water a day, and it needs to be fresh, clean water. Obviously, if you were drinking water, you wouldn't want it to be dirty and disgusting, so make sure your horse is getting plenty of water throughout the day. I know a lot of people like to use automatic waterers. That way it's constantly refilling and you never have to worry about your horse running out. Horses, like I said, are herbivores, so they require tons of forage and fiber in their diet. So every horse should be provided grass and hay. So obviously not everywhere can provide full-time grass for your horse, but really every horse needs that moist fiber going into their diet. So if you can even provide your horse with a little bit of grass, like hand grazing them, or just picking some grass and throwing it in their stall, like that's really good for your horse. It's really going to create good movement in their gut. So any little type of grass at least. I know not every horse can handle a lot of it, but horses are definitely designed to take in grass and natural forage such as that. But if you can't provide a lot of grass, obviously every horse needs hay, which is dry forage, really essential to your horse's diet. So make sure to talk to your vet or equine nutritionalist about what type of hay to feed your horse. The most common types are straight alfalfa hay, straight grass hay, or a mixed hay. Mixed hay is the most common, and this is typically what your mixed hay is going to look like. You're going to see lots of leaves falling. That's the alfalfa. So mixed hay is typically grass alfalfa mix. So it's typically really good for most horses, but obviously every horse is different. So if you're not sure, make sure to ask your vet. But make sure when you're feeding your horse hay that it's free of mold and dust. Hay does mold. So if you're breaking apart the bales and you see white clouds of dust flying around and the hay smells bad, be cautious of feeding that to your horse, or don't feed it to them at all, because mold can definitely make your horse sick. Different natural grains are also really important to your horse's diet, such as oats or a little bit of corn or barley. It all depends on your horse's nutritional needs and where your horse's metabolism sits. So obviously consult your vet before you just go throwing grain to your horse, because there are tons of different types of grain on the market. Grain should be fed definitely in the right amounts. Way too much grain could definitely make your horse sick, so you don't want to overfeed it, but also underfeeding it might not really benefit your horse. So talk to your vet about feeding them in the right amounts. Grain can come in different forms, such as pellets like this. This is a really common form. Pelleted grain typically is processed and it includes all the vitamins and nutrients for your horse. So a lot of people go with this if your horse needs that extra kick in their diet to keep them at a healthy weight and healthy nutritional needs, especially if you're having heavy workloads on your horse. But if your horses do really well on the pasture or hay and they're easy keepers and they've got plenty of energy and you notice they don't really need a lot of extra kick, personally my horses are like that, so I just give them oats. So this is what your oats typically look like. You can get them just in a 40-pound bag, and I just throw my horses this a few days a week to give them that little extra energy source when it's really hot or really cold. So consult your vet if you're not sure about what type of grain to give your horse. And horses can get about half a pound of grain per 100 pounds of body weight. These grains, as well as you can get big salt blocks or mineral blocks, horses should always be kind of fortified with protein, fats, vitamins, and minerals that they might not get where you live, especially if you live in a very dry, desert-like climate. It might be hard for your horse to get those different nutrients out of the ground. So you definitely should be fortifying your horse with all those different vitamins, especially if you're doing a lot of work with them. You can also give your horses treats. I've got this big bucket of treats that I keep in the barn at all times. I love to give my horse treats. You definitely can give them treats if your horse is motivated by food. Just make sure not to overdo it, because horses definitely can raise their level of expectation for treats, which can cause some issues, but we'll talk about that later. So to know your horse's feed requirements, it's a good idea to recognize and take note of their weight changes. Some horses from summer to winter definitely might lose weight or gain a lot of weight. So be sure to know when that's happening or what seasons that happens to your horse, so you can adjust their feeding schedule. So if you know your horse's weight, you can kind of calculate how much to feed your horse. So with your horse's weight, you can calculate the amount of daily feed your horse should be getting. So a great little tool to help you figure out your horse's daily ration is taking your horse's weight, divide it by 100, and times that by 2.5. So that'll give you a rough amount of about how much your horse should be getting for daily feed. So if you ever change your horse's diet, say from season to season you change your horse's diet, never do it like abruptly. One day you're giving grass hay, the next day you're giving all alfalfa hay, because that can kind of mess up your horse's system and really be a shock to your horse. So it's best to do things gradually and small changes here and there, and build up to that gradual change, not just one day do it, the next day change it. So the way a lot of people do it is about 25% of the new diet can be introduced to 75% of the old diet. So about a fourth of the new diet, you can throw that in with their current diet and then kind of add a fourth as you go. 25%, then 50%. 75, and then 100% is a complete change in the horse's diet. So just build it gradually rather than all at once. So horses are routine animals and they like to have a normal schedule. So try and keep your horse on a routine about the same time of feeding every day rather than just whenever works. Horses are definitely routine animals, so they like to have a consistency in when they're getting their food. Here's a great tool that you can use to use for your horse's feeding schedule. I'll leave the link down below for you guys to check out if you're not sure how to do that. So always keep in mind, if you're going to be riding or working your horse, you don't want to give a whole bunch of food right before you ride them or right after you ride them. If you guys have ever been to the gym or are going to work out, you know you don't eat a whole bunch of food for breakfast and then go work out right after breakfast, because you're going to be really slow and weighed down and you'll feel really full, which obviously doesn't end up in a good workout. So it's going to be the same for your horse. So if you're about to go for a really long trail ride or about to do an endurance ride or jumping, you don't want to feed your horse a whole bunch of hay right before, because it's really going to weigh your horse down. So It's recommended that you feed your horse about an hour before you ride, and after you're done riding, when your horse is really tired, their muscles have been worked a lot, to feed them about an hour after you're done riding. That way their body can really absorb the nutrients out of the food. Feeding your horse right after you're done with a really hard workout can lead to indigestion, so that's why they recommend you wait a little bit after your horse is done riding for their blood pressure to come down, for their heart rate to slow down, and then they're ready to consume amount of food. So of course your horse's feed intake should be adjusted as required. So say your horse has been on the pasture all day long and has been eating grass all day. If they come in at night, they really aren't going to need a ton of hay. So if your horse has been eating all day long and then you bring them in at night and give them a whole bunch more food, you might notice your horse putting on weight just because they might be being overfed. So adjust as your horse, consumes its food. And like I said, if you're unsure about anything that I mentioned today, make sure to consult a professional, consult your vet or equine nutritionalist. Never leave your horse go hungry, of course, and if you ever feel like your horse did a really good job for you today or is learning a bunch of new stuff, don't be afraid to give it treats here and there. I like to throw my horses some treats after we're done riding because they did a good job for me. Just make sure not to overdo it. That's all I say. Never overdo anything with your horses. Giving your horse a routine diet and a balanced diet is a great way to keep them healthy, productive, and balanced for the best nutritional and best performance out of your horse. I hope this information helped any of you guys. Make sure to hit the like button if you found this video useful. Now it's your turn to tell me in the comments, what is your horse's diet plan? Are you thinking of changing your horse's current diet? And let's talk about why. Make sure to subscribe to the Horse and Theory channel for other equine episodes, and I will see you guys in the next video, where we're going to talk about what horses can and cannot eat. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.